The big story today is allegations from Binding of Isaac creator Edmund McMillen that his friend George Fan, creator of Plants vs. Zombies, was fired from developer PopCap Games by EA because Fan was against turning Plants vs. Zombies 2 into a freemium pay-to-win game. The information came from a statement that McMillen gave in an interview with podcast Roundtable Live, where he said the following: "This is a semi-unknown story that I hope I'm not stepping on toes with it. It involves a friend of mine, George Fan. George made a game called Insaniquarium. He made it ages ago, and it won a lot of awards. He got headhunted by PopCap, and PopCap hired him, sent him off with 2 more people in a small office, and said, hey, make a game. And he said, okay, I'm gonna make Plants vs. Zombies. And he made Plants vs. Zombies. It was hugely successful. They got acquired by EA. EA made that game even more successful. And then they were like, okay, we're gonna focus on this and we're gonna make a sequel, spin-offs, this, and this. George was like, great, I've got an idea for a sequel. He developed this game independently as well, an independent mindset with a small team of people. It was personal. Knowing the guy, I can see the characters are personal. Every bit and piece is something from him. So it was his baby. And they're like, hey, let's make the sequel. We're gonna put it on mobile and we're gonna do this pay to win. And he's like, I don't know, that's not a good idea. I don't really want to do that with my game. And they said, you're fired. And he left. This is such a newsworthy thing, and it's frustrated me for years that there's not news stories about this. Then, earlier today, George Fan responded to McMillen's statement on the circumstances behind his layoff from PopCap Games with the following tweet. Regarding recent rumors, it is true I was laid off by EA PopCap, and also true that I was against making PVZ2 a freemium game. That's all I'll say on the matter for now. A very straightforward response that seemingly fully confirmed McMillen's allegations. However, Kotaku editor Jason Schreier recently did his own investigation on the matter, and he found that there is more to the story than meets the eye. Schreier began by noting that a closer look at Fan's tweet makes it clear that he's not drawing correlation between getting laid off and being against making Plants vs. Zombies 2 free to play. Fan is stating that these two things are true, but not necessarily saying that they're directly connected. The article then proceeded by stating that 2 former high-level PopCap employees both told Schreier a different story, which was transcribed as follows. Fan was let go, they said, as part of a larger set of layoffs in August 2012 that left 50 PopCap employees out of jobs. During these layoffs, PopCap decided to close its office in San Mateo, California, where Fan had worked with 2 other people. The decision was made by PopCap's management, the sources said, and it came after months of discussion and debate. In short, those sources said, Fan's ethos as an indie game developer conflicted with the new corporate structure of EA, which had purchased PopCap in the summer of 2011. He didn't mesh well with the massive corporation. It was true that Fan didn't want to make freemium games, the sources said, but he wasn't working on Plants vs. Zombies 2. He was working on other projects. Fan lost interest in Plants vs. Zombies when EA began envisioning it as a massive franchise, the sources said, and he spent time on new ideas, like a game with the brilliant title Full Contact Bingo. When it became clear that PopCap's future would revolve around making free-to-play games with microtransactions, Fan no longer fit in. Finally, the article pointed to a recent string of tweets by ex-producer of Plants vs. Zombies 2, Alan Moretti, that aimed to provide further clarification on the matter. The tweets read as follows. Wow, hey Edmund McMillen, I was the producer of Plants vs. Zombies 2, and that story was not even close to the truth. It's a bummer that something false like this came out secondhand. I'm happy to chat offline. Edmund McMillen then replied with, I'm pretty sure what I said was something close to the truth, but again, I wasn't there. I'm hoping George gets to clear things up soon enough. Murray then proceeded with, cool. Since this picked up some traction, I should state the facts that I know. I was the lead producer from January 2012 to launch in July 2013, about 18 months. George was never involved during the time I worked on the project. He was working on a different game, which was super fun, but it never launched. George was unfortunately part of the layoffs in August 2012, but I know none of the details surrounding his departure. In October 2012, there was a change in franchise leadership that mandated a shift to free-to-play mobile. Despite concerns about the design change, I'm proud of the work me and my team did. George created a great game that we built upon, and I was sad to see him go. I'm excited for his new endeavor and wish everyone the best of luck. So the short of it is this: George Fan wasn't singled out and laid off as a direct result of objecting to freemium pay-to-win practices for Plants vs. Zombies 2. In fact, he wasn't even working on that game when he was fired. While he did seemingly disagree with the notion of pay-to-win, the circumstances surrounding his layoff was more complicated than A plus B equals C. However, that's not to say that EA's takeover on July 2011 and the subsequent shift towards pay-to-win practices didn't have any influence. As one commenter on Kotaku put it, in other words, he wasn't fired because he didn't want to make his games freemium, but the fact that he didn't want to meant they didn't have much of a reason to keep him on come layoff season. Schreier replied with, "That's part of it, sure, but it sounds like this was more of a long simmering cultural clash. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and maybe one day I or someone else will tell the story of what happened to PopCap after EA bought it. But I've heard bits and pieces and it sounds like there was all sorts of mismanagement there." So yeah, basically Fan's general inability to conform to EA's corporate structure led to the decision that he would be among the 50 or so employees who would be laid off from PopCap Games. It had less to do with Fan's stance against one game and more to do with just a general cultural clash between Fan as an indie developer and EA as this massive corporation. The way the whole thing played out still stinks if you ask me. Ultimately, we're still looking at a situation in which EA's takeover resulted in the thankless termination of someone who drove the success of a game series, one that the company is now fully exploiting for their own gains. It still feels like they've selfishly and greedily stolen someone else's success for their own benefit. To me, the new information does little to mitigate the notion that this was just another corporate takeover. That's just one man's opinion though. The fact of the matter is that I don't know about everything that happened behind the scenes, so I'll leave it at that for now. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video insightful, and if you enjoy my content, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. All contributions will go towards helping this channel remain 100% independent and self-sustained. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.